Okay. Are we recording?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the voter project for SABE. It is the National Distance Training Webinar Series, and this is the evaluation webinar. And today we're going to be sharing all about what you have experienced on all of your different trainings. So go ahead to the next slide. Just to let you know, this webinar is being recorded, so you can listen to it later if somebody says something that you would like to hear again, or if you have additional questions at a later date. Our hope is that you'll continue to use the training, and maybe you would find the information on the webinar series helpful to you. The way we're going to be doing it today is that we do have a question time set aside at the end of the presentations, but we would, we don't want to curb your excitement. If you have a question that you would like to ask one of our presenters, just click in the chat box, and Juliana will let us know that you have a question, and then you can ask your question of a particular presenter. So please say your name and what state you're from, and then ask your question. That'll help us make sure that we record the correct information. Next slide, please. Nancy, would you like to lead this section?
Okay. So we're going to go and do a round robin, and by asking who's in the room. So what you're going to do is tell us what your name is, what state you are from, what group you are representing today. And we'll start with Mississippi.
Just in case there's someone that did get in on the phone and is representing Mississippi, could you let us know now?
Yes.
It does happen sometimes that there's someone on the phone, and we don't want to leave anybody out.
No, we don't.
It doesn't sound like there's a representative from Mississippi. You want to go to the next state?
Okay. New Mexico. Would you like to go ahead and tell us what your names are?
Is there someone from New Mexico?
Okay. All right.
We do have Barbara. She's trying to connect.
Maybe you could type in the chat box.
Barbara says she's on, but she can't. She's having trouble with her mute button.
Even though she took the mute button off, it's not unmuting. Do you have anything you can do to help her, Juliana?
You're connected to a webcam, Barbara, on your computer, or are you on a laptop? You might have to no webcam. If you can call in on your smartphone or join the meeting with your smartphone or a tablet. Nancy, do you want to go to
Next one,
next
sure.
one? And then Barbara, we can't find a phone number, so if you can join in on your phone, it'll connect you to.
So we'll go ahead and do Oklahoma. So do you guys want to go ahead?
Sure. I'm Martin Berry, and I'm with the P&A.
I'm Larry Gaines. I'm also with the P&A.
And then Nancy Ward, and I'm one of the co-directors along with Teresa for the Voter Project. And is there, oh, and what group are we representing today? So I think all three of us said. Larry and Martin are representing the P&A, and I'm on for the Voter Project. Is New York on?
Yes, hi. My name is Yasmin Kamel. I am the new PAVA advocate at Disability Rights New York.
Great. Wonderful. It's great to have you, and hopefully soon we'll have Barbara on too, and we'll be able to hear her. The next group, you want to go ahead and introduce, Nancy?
Oregon, would you like to say what your name is, please?
Okay, my name is Karen. I'm from Oregon, and I'm representing Oregon.
Did you guys hear that okay?
Yeah. Are you representing the self-advocacy organization? Or the
I'm representing the OSAC and representing everything in Oregon. Yeah. I'm a team leader.
Awesome. Super. Who else is with you?
My name is Esther, and I'm the PAVA advocate at Disability Rights Oregon.
And we have Riley Newport, too.
Yeah, it looks like Riley's logged in online, but he doesn't have a microphone.
Oh, that's too bad. Well, we hope that you'll use the chat box to communicate if you have a comment or a question, Riley. I apologize that they did not put a phone number in on this one. I guess they're assuming everyone has technology. So we will be asking them to change it back to the way it was before. So
Yes.
apologize. Next slide, please. So one of the things is that we want to know just some basic details of your training, and we want to know because one of the things is that people got sometimes reported that they had a couple more self-advocates or something like that in their training numbers, and we really want to know who was training in your group, because later on we'll give you a chance to tell us who was at your training. So how many self-advocate co-trainers and how many P&A staff co-trainers attended your training? And if you had others that were trainers that helped you, could you mention those? Things like whether you had your county represented there, or maybe someone from the other partners participated. So if someone else was helping you train, This is just focusing on trainers right now. So let's go ahead and start. Why don't we go ahead and start with New York. Yasmin, do you know this information about the training that was done?
Yeah, actually I'm referencing a survey form that Helen completed about the training that she did, and it seemed like it was Helen, who's part of our PNA, and Shamika Andrews, who is a self-advocate.
Okay, great. And did they mention anybody else that was at the training helping them with the training?
None that I can tell.
Okay. And I see that Barbara posted in for New Mexico. She said that they had 5 self-advocate trainers and 1 PNA trainer. So that's awesome.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear a lot of good things about the New Mexico training, so that's great. And let's see, I want to make sure. How about in Oregon? How did it go for you? How many trainers?
I would take the lead in Oregon. We have gone to so many places, me and Esther have, and we have gone to, like, down south, you know, to, is it Woodburn we went, Esther?
Yeah, the main one that we're talking about is the one we did in Monmouth at Spark.
Yeah, we did, and we got a lot of people who really liked it, and yeah, and people really gave to people, and they really was really helpful. So we passed things around, and we even talked about things that's happening, you know, and like, you know, it's up to you to get out. It's up to you to vote. We can't tell anybody who to vote for, who to do it, you know. And, you know, it does help. And some dividers really was involved in it too, so we really are trying to do things, you know. And we're going to get more things done, aren't we, Esther?
Yeah, and at that training specifically, we had Karen and Ross Ryan and Justin Connolly were the 3 self-advocate co-trainers, and I was the PNA staff co-trainer. So we have 3 of self-advocacy co-trainers and 1 PNA staff.
And what I liked about that, we were beginning, we were the, like I was pretending I was the good person, and some other person was pretending, and it was really great how it turned out.
Yeah.
You know, it was very fun. We made it fun.
That sounds like it was fun. Let's see, Oklahoma. Tell us about who trained on your team.
Okay, so for the training that we reported on, it would be Del Rogers. We've done 2. Del Rogers had all 5 people on our team, so 3 self-advocates, 2 PNA members. And for Greer, it was 1 self-advocate, 2, just count.
2 self-advocates, yourself, as you know.
Yeah, but they give me a stat. So 1 self-advocate and me to support her, and 1 PNA staff person to support us by driving us there. And of the team, 2 P&A staff people from the team. And we had one person at the training that was so excited about being able to do the voting absentee that he felt that he was going to do it in the next election. So we're collecting the surveys now. So I'm going to find out, call Anthony and find out if he was able to go and vote and how he enjoyed it and if he had any problems. But we registered 4 people.
4 at Greer.
Yeah, 4 at Greer.
We assisted 15 in registering at Bill Rogers.
So between the 2 trainings, we did 19 people in registering.
Okay, we'll check in with the other states in the next few questions and see if that was something they were able to do too. Why don't we, I think I've gotten reports from everybody, I think that we have teams for. Go to the next slide, please. So some of you have said where your training was and some of you haven't, so I just want to just double check with that. And then one of the things that we wanted to know was how did you advertise the training? Some of you did specific locations where individuals with disabilities were at, but you know, instead of talking about advertising, which you still had to contact somebody to get the training. So tell us a little bit about that, whether you encountered any issues with getting the support of the staff or the administrators to do the vote training at the location. So if you didn't really have to advertise, but you had to work with some, you know, staff to get things going, whether you encountered any difficulty, and did you receive any additional support or resources to help you do the training? Things like in our state, self-advocates paid for their own transportation for a couple of ours. So if you had any extra resources that came into play, or if someone did all the printing that you needed or helped you in any other way, so that we can kind of notate that for any future trainers that want to do the training in a different state. So let's go ahead and continue our round robin. Barbara, if you would like to, since we're not able to hear you, if you want to type in your answer and we'll get back to you in just a moment. Let's go ahead and have Esther from Oregon and Karen from Oregon tell us about these questions. Where was your training? Did you advertise it? And did anybody help with any additional support or resources?
Actually, Esther goes on, maybe emails people to say we're coming in, and that helps because Esther is a good person because she knows where to go, you know. And sometimes I give her a lead. Let's go this. Let's go where. Like one time we went to a school, at Portland State, and it was really good. So we went to Green Thumb one time. We went to a lot of places. Is that right, Esther?
Yeah, and she's asking about Spark specifically in Monmouth.
Spark. Yeah, and we did that. And so Esther gets online and sees where we can go because I see, you know, an outreach to people, you know. And then she calls me and says, do you think it's a good idea to do that? And I said, yeah, let's do it. You know, so I'm her backup person when people can't go. So it's really fun to get people engaged, and some people really want to do that, and it's really, really interesting.
And
Yeah.
Spark was a service agency.
Any comments, Esther?
Yeah, the training we did in Monmouth was at Spark, which is a self-advocacy group, partnership of Partnerships in Community Living, which is a service provider in Monmouth, which is a town in the Willamette Valley. And it stands for Self-Protection Advocacy and Rights Council. So, and it was we had a support staff member help organize it, and she advertised it. She made a flyer that she posted on Facebook, and we posted that on our Facebook as well. And let's see what else. And Ross and Justin, the two other self-advocates besides Karen, had to arrange their own transportation, so that was a piece of the resources. And Spark arranged for all the PowerPoint, the computer and projector, so they had that set up for us, so we didn't have to do that. And I think that was all the additional resources we got. They made the flyer, like I said.
Hey, that sounds good. Sounds like that even though it was at a service provider agency, they did open it up to the community. So that's really good to hear.
Yeah, we posted it on our Facebook too, so it was available to the public.
Right. So it's a mixture, which I like. When sometimes they're closed, they're really closed, and they don't reach out to others. And sometimes we have to ask if that's okay, if we, advertise for others to come in to their location. So it's just one of those things that can be tricky, but if you have, I bet you guys have a long-standing relationship with them.
Yes.
Yeah,
sorry.
we
Yes.
do.
Oh, go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, we do. We do have a good relationship, and we will still do it, But we have a lot to work on. I mean, but we're reaching out, we're learning. And that's the good thing. We're learning our tools, how to use voting tools. And that's the one good thing.
That's cool. Well, I'm glad to hear that it went really well for you guys. Juliana, would you mind reading Barbara's? I don't want to scroll and mess up the control of the...
All right, so Barbara said New Mexico's voter training has been conducted at one DD service provider. Another training was held at a conference, and we have one scheduled for this Monday with 30 self-advocates at the DDPC state agency that runs the Center for Self-Advocacy.
That's great. So it looks like there's a little more in there.
Oh, here we go. And then number 2, we advertise the training through the DDPC Center for Self-Advocacy website, e-blast, social media, and in-person contacts, as well as through a flyer. And then number 3, yes, additional support from the PNA. They made copies of the handout packets, and DDPC CSA provided the advertisement and training supplies.
Great. You were well supported. How about in New York? Yasmin?
Yes, hi. So we did a training at the self-advocates at the 2016 Capital District Regional Self-Advocacy Conference, which was located at Karen Dellett Hospitality Center in Latham, New York. the training was part of the conference. It was advertised as part of the conference, and I don't believe that there was support outside of sort of the space was provided as part of the conference, but otherwise it was DRNY headed making that happen.
Okay, good. How about in Oklahoma? Tell us about, you said the name of the training location, but could you say the one that you used to report on again, and whether you had advertising and any additional support that you had in Oklahoma?
Okay, so how we did the advertising, it was done at Greer, which is one of the, it's on campus where our institution used to be, because Oklahoma is now institution free, but it's the mental health hospital.
It's a state hospital.
So the state hospital. And they asked us, because we had done the registering before, and so we did more than just registering them. And then for Dale Rogers, which is the other one we've reported on, that was done by me doing a presentation about the voter project at a Down syndrome meeting. So we have the National Down Syndrome Society, and now Oklahoma is also wanting to partner with us. And for additional resources, it would be from the Oklahoma Disability Law Center.
Okay, and did they provide any additional support at the location? Or did you bring in all of your equipment?
The two trainers were, the two team members were there along with another PNA staff. And so they provided us support in helping people register and also helping us answer questions.
Great. Okay. I think I've heard from everyone on these questions. Would you go to the next slide, please? And Nancy, would you like to lead us on this slide, please?
Sure. We'll start with New York on how many attended your training, how many self-advocates, how many PNA staff, and who else did you present to?
So from what I can tell, there were a total of 6 people at the training. There were 4 self-advocates who were trained and 2 others, and 0 PNA staff were trained.
Okay.
So, New Mexico, could you type in your answer, please, Barbara, for us, and we'll go ahead and read it for you. Oregon, would you like to go next?
How many people?
We had 26 self-advocates and no PNA staff, and then I think there were 3 staff members from PCL who were there.
And that was the location. That was some support staff from the location.
Yeah, from the provider that hosts the Self-Advocacy Council meetings.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I had that in my memory correct. And looks like Barbara might need a little more time to answer. So do you want to tell us about your numbers, Nancy, about who attended in Oklahoma?
There was 5 self-advocates.
Okay. So Greer was 5 self-advocates. Del Roger was 15 with 1 staff person.
Greer had 2 staff personnel.
And Greer had 2 staff.
Okay. And no one else was in the room at that one? You had some staff and
no, there was, for the trainers, there was 2, that's the one where all 5 of the team, Oklahoma's team, were present. Greer was Kelly. She wasn't there. Larry and Martin, and then the person who drove the self-advocate and myself.
Okay. So I do like to know, sometimes we get some of these extra folks who may have not seen the self-advocates they're supporting present before. So sometimes even though they might not be a person you have, acquired during the training, they actually are because they have supported somebody to get there. We noticed that because we had some family members at one of our trainings that attended, and they were so excited to see their daughter. She was so excited to see her daughter present for the first time, and she said she really learned a lot about voting that she didn't know. So that was really exciting for us. So that's why we asked this question, just because sometimes you're training people and you're not actually realizing you're training them. So just one of those little extra things that can happen. It looks like Barbara has answered the question. Giuliano, would you mind reading that for us, please?
Yes, New Mexico attendees, there were 20 self-advocates at the DD service provider, no P&A staff, 7 self-advocates at the conference, no P&A, 4 family members, 3 professionals, and then on Monday there should be 30 self-advocates and no P&A.
Okay. And the reason we say P&A staff there too is that sometimes the other staff start to hear the exciting stuff that you're doing and they want to see. So it's not to downplay who went as part of the training team, but sometimes you do get people who are interested in what you're doing. That's why we asked this question again, to clarify if there was any additional, I should say additional. I apologize for not having that word in there, but it is something that you want to chat a little bit about when you're, at staff meetings and things, and invite the other P&A staff to see what you're doing in case you ever need their support to attend a meeting or a training with the self-advocates and you're not available. Then you would have someone who is interested and has some working knowledge of what you're doing in case you need some help also. So I think we have everyone on these questions. Would you go to the next slide, please? And some of you have answered this, but if you wouldn't mind sharing again, the question is did you ask participants who voted in the last election If yes, how many? And did you register anyone to vote during the training? So you may or may not have asked if folks had voted in the last election or not. We just want to know if that was one of the questions you asked and if you have that information. If you didn't, that's perfectly fine. Just let us know. Nancy, would you like to lead the state round robin?
Yes. So, yes, we talked about voting in the last election, and there was one person who had done that at Greer.
Okay.
And then at Del Rogers, there wasn't anybody. But we registered everybody there.
And you said that was 15, if I'm remembering?
Right.
And at the other location, did you register anyone? I think
Yeah.
you said you, but I can't remember what the number is.
4 people.
4 people. That's awesome. And would you like to share in Oregon if you asked these questions and if you registered anyone?
Really got, we have these things that we hand out to people and we tell them to, we tell everybody that to vote for somebody else, but we have these little flyers that we pass out and we kind of say, if you register, you can fill it out. If you are new resident, you can fill out the information. And even if they have their ID, the Oregon license, then they can automatically vote. But we just don't, we encourage them to, hey, election is coming up. We need, if you want to vote, it's up to you. But we don't force them, because it's up to us. But we are passing out a lot of stuff. Isn't that right, Esther?
Yes, and when we did the training, we did ask if people voted in the last election, and I think a lot, I don't remember how many, a lot of them had voted in the last election, and we registered one person to vote.
Yeah, it was really great, and all we do is say, it's a Democrat or Republican, it's up to you, encourage them, but we can't just say, hey, go out and vote, you have to, I mean, we don't want to kick people off, because the more you kick people off, they won't vote.
Right. It sounds like you did a great job educating them.
We can't tell them who to vote for, but, it's their own private thing. And we just say, well, we just want them to realize that if they have a driver's license, they can vote, but, we can't tell them who to vote for. Is that right, Esther?
Right.
Okay.
Great.
But it's a lot of fun to get people to do it because, and I think one time we went to is it down south, we saw a parent what said, I'm glad we heard about that voting thing, and their child really wanted to vote, And she was a nice lady. Remember we sat on the couch and we talked to her? Where was that?
Oh, that was in McMinnville.
Yeah, and we sat and we talked to a parent, and she says, oh, I'm glad you're getting out the word. And it was really fun.
Yeah.
It sounds like, a lot of this is about our personal relationships that we make with the participants and their family members and those who support them. It is about spending that little bit of extra time. So I really appreciate your style. Let's check in with Yasmin in New York and see what they said about asking folks if they voted in the last election. Yasmin?
Hi. Hi. Unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot of information about that. So I don't know what Helen's experience was, whether she brought that up or whether registration took place at the training. I don't see it in the form that I'm looking at.
Okay. Well, we can try to get that from Helen at a later time.
Absolutely. I'll to find out from her also and update you.
Oh, that'd be great. I appreciate that.
Sure.
Could we check in with Barbara? I think she did write something. Juliana, could you read that for us?
Yes, New Mexico asked who voted in the primary election this year, and several people, 10, at the DD service provider training raised their hand. We did not ask at the conference. We did not register anyone to vote, but the P&A trainer handed out information and discussed and reviewed how to register by the deadline in the training.
Oh, great. That's good. I know it's hard to do some of those things at the larger events because you may not be in complete control of the larger group. So I'm glad that you were able to share really good information now. Let's go to the, I think that's everyone. Let's go to the next slide. So this couple of questions is all about using the Voter Project Toolkit and whether it was easy to download from the website, which topics you presented at your training, and did you use the toolkit to help you present. And this is just to see if it's a tool that you were able to use while you were doing your different events. Let's go ahead and start with Morgan. Did you have any problems?
We did.
So we did not have any problems downloading the toolkit. I don't remember, but I think we presented on all of the topics, I think, except for, because we didn't have much time, I don't think we really dived into the building relationships, because I think self-advocacy groups already, are working on that and kind of have a handle on those things. So we didn't talk too much about that piece, but we used all the other chapters pretty much, and we used the toolkit to present.
Did you guys find it helpful to use it to follow?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I think we moved around a few little things, but yeah, pretty much that's what we used to present.
That's great. How about in New York? Do you have any notes about that, Yasmin?
Yeah, so we didn't have any issues with getting the toolkit. We used several parts of it, how voting fits in your life, registering to vote, voter rights, and how to get around voting problems. We also added some of our own information, specifically related to ballot marking devices in New York State.
Oh, that's interesting. And so they had it at the training, it sounds like, the whole time. Sounds like it was real helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about in Oklahoma? So we'll give Barbara a little bit of time to answer if she has anything that she wants to share on these questions. How about in Oklahoma? How did using the toolkit go for you guys?
You definitely could tell the difference in the training when we did use the toolkit. I think it's a very useful tool.
Did you guys have any trouble downloading it from the website?
No.
Okay. So did you use it at one and not at the other? Is that what you did?
That's what happened.
Okay. So you could definitely see an improvement on the flow and things like that. Is that what you mean?
Yes. Yes. And it helped keep the self-advocates who were presenting, focused because they had it right in front of them.
Okay. And Barbara, did you have anything you wanted to share about the use of the toolkit? I'm not seeing a new answer, so just wanted to check. Oh, there it goes. Juliana, would you mind reading that for me, please?
All right, let's see. It says New Mexico did have trouble downloading the toolkit. We used the toolkit topics and integrated them into a P&A PowerPoint and handout packet. Topics were your right to vote, etc.
Okay. So you did have some trouble. Maybe at a later time you guys can tell me what's happened, or if because you had difficulty with the PowerPoint. So it would help us to know what was happening. If you can be more specific, even if it's at a later date, that would help us to make improvements and try to identify exactly what happened for you guys. That would be real helpful. Thank you. I appreciate that. She said we'll discuss that at a later date. Yeah, we. One of the things is that we want the toolkit to be useful to you, but if you cannot get it downloaded, that's not helpful. So we're definitely interested in finding out what happened. So I look forward to having that conversation with you, or you can write down what happened in an email and we can start a conversation that way too. I know sometimes that's a little easier than doing a phone call sometimes. But yeah, I'd love to hear about that because that is one thing that I definitely watch for.
Teresa,
Okay.
she said
Yeah.
she also had difficulty with the PowerPoint.
Okay. Okay. That is interesting. I want to make sure that we get that fixed, whatever that is too, because I've been doing some updates on the PowerPoint and I want to make sure that the new one is friendlier to use. Okay. Thank you. I'm sorry that happened. Let's go ahead. Did I get I think I have everyone on those questions. Let's go to the next slide, please.
Lisa, I want to go back a second.
Okay. I'm sorry, Juliana, can you go back?
Because I need to clarify my answer. We used the toolkit at both trainings. We used the slides at one, and that's what made it easier because we had the slides.
Okay. All right. We are going to talk about the slides a little bit more. Let's go to the next slide on this presentation. So this is the question about having problems with the slides. Did you have any problem adding your state information to the PowerPoint slides? And this is the sample slide, and it has this unusual writing that's having you put your state information in these areas. So let's go around. Did you have trouble typing over the information? Was it hard to read what we were asking? Those kinds of things is what we're looking for. So let's go ahead and see if anyone has any information to share with us. How about we talk to Oregon about
He did not have any problems adding the information.
No, we didn't.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. Oklahoma, did you change the slide information to your state information, and how did that go for you?
Yes, we did. The time we used the slides, the state information we used. And when we did the toolkit, we set it, but when we used the slides, we actually changed it.
Did you have any difficulty changing the information?
No.
Okay. And Yasmin, do you have any information to share about New York's experience?
From what I can tell, we created our own slideshow using a lot of the information that was in the slides that you provided. So the issue of editing the slides wasn't much of an issue for us. So we were able to use that material, but creating a separate slideshow with some more New York State specific info and general info that was provided in your slides, and sort of more of the DRNY logos and info and that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, some states do like to use a template. They like all of the information to look like it's from the PNA, and they might have a template that their organization requires that you use. So we're okay with you using what we have and, you know, using the logos and things like that on your template. We just try to make it as easy for you as possible so you wouldn't have to transfer information. But it sounds like it's okay for you guys.
Yeah, and it does seem, I looked through those slides as well, the slides that you provided, and they're not only are they very festive and exciting looking, but also the information is really useful, and I think it was easy to transfer. So
that's great. Barbara, it looks like she had some feedback for us, a little bit more about the experience they had with the slides and some of the difficulty. Juliana, would you share what she has written?
Okay, let's see. New Mexico wasn't able to add our state information, and that is why we used the PNA voter training PowerPoint slides.
Okay. Just a quick question, Barbara. Did they transfer some of the information? Was it useful to help them develop their PowerPoint, or? Give it a minute to answer that question.
Yes, it was useful, and we used the toolkit information on the PNA slides.
So I'm glad that some parts of the information was useful to you. I hate to hear that it was a hard situation, but I'm glad that you were able to use some of the information that we provided. Next slide, please. Okay, so what we have for the rest of this presentation is that we wanted you to know what we're up to. One of the things is that when we started working with NDRN, the National Disability Rights Network, they wanted to know if this was something that people continued to use after they had done this first training. And I've heard some of you say that you have trainings planned, and so one of the things is that we would like to share with you that we would like to stay in contact with you guys and see how it's going. Things like, you know, if you're still having problems downloading things, or if you're, for example, Florida wrote us and asked us if they could use the videos that we have on the website because they really like them. And of course, we are all about sharing and would, just let us know that it's something that you're using and doing in the future. And it would really be helpful if you followed up with the training report. Juliana, I sent that to you. Could you put that up for us real quick, please?
Which one was it again?
The training report.
This one?
I can't, yes. What this is it's a little different from the one that you have used to report your training that you did as part of the project. This one has additional training follow-up report on the top. And we will be putting this up on the website for you to use so that you can use it, or you can write me or send me an email or call me and I'll send you a copy of it if you're having trouble downloading it. What this one has is the same information is basically on there, but we have less examples. Since you've already experienced filling this report out, we're hoping that giving you that little bit of extra space will help you with reporting and make it a little quicker for you. So if you wouldn't mind to share with us any additional training that you do on this report to help us track that information. We share it with our funder and the National Disability Rights Network. We share it with them, and it lets them know that self-advocates are being trained and that the toolkit is still useful to you, and that you're using the activities and the topics are helpful to you, and it gives you a chance to give us feedback. Anything as simple as your icons are getting a little outdated, your pictures are outdated, or things are not printing as well as they should from using the toolkit. Whatever it might be, this will give you a chance to share that with us without needing to do a phone call right away. We'll call you if there's something specific that we don't understand on your report, but we'd really appreciate it. We've had some really great information that we learned from the other states that have been trained before as they continue to use the training that we provided. Some states are doing train the trainer kinds of things and getting more teams than their original team to help them do more outreach across their state. All kinds of interesting things are happening, and so we just want to capture that and give you an easy way to report it, because before I just called people and said, hey, what you doing, and it took us a little time to get all the information from them because we didn't have this great system set up. So it will be on the website hopefully in the next day or two, so you can put those extra trainings down for us and help us to keep this toolkit up to date and useful to you, because that's, even though you might not think how important it is to do these reports with us, do that, self-advocates can do it for your group, whatever you want to do. And if anybody needs help filling it out, I'd be happy to set up a time with them. Nancy or I could help the person fill it out and keep it up to date. So whatever works best for you, we just want to keep that information flowing and keep improving the voter experience for people. So it follows the same questions that you were asked. One of the things that we're noticing is that more and more people are having the voting machines at their events, and this also collects that. I just noticed that. I wanted to share that with you, that specific question. So it's I believe it says it's 4 pages, but look at all that space I give you. So it's not that intimidating once you start answering them. They're pretty quick. But the more detail you share with us, the better we can make the voting experience for the participants that you are training. And again, there is my contact information to help you with this. And oh, we'll have to take that invoice thing off of there. But so everything always needs improvement. But yes, thank you, Juliana. So just to make sure that you have what you need, we would like for you to fill these out for us if you wouldn't mind. And Juliana, go back to the PowerPoint, please, for a moment. And thank you. Okay, and next slide, please. So one of the things that SABE has been involved in the last couple of national elections is we have done a voters experience survey. And some of you may have heard of it, some of you may have not. That's okay. But we have a team of, I believe it's, Essie, could you fill us in on how many people are involved in the committee, if you wouldn't mind?
Sure. There are about 19 P&As that are on the committee, and anyone is welcome to the committee, you guys. And there is several national organizations also on the committee, the National Down Syndrome Society, the Federation for the Blind, National Federation for the Blind, National Disability Rights Network, and then the rest of the members, there's about 8 that are either vote team members or self-advocates across the country who are actively involved in voting in some way.
And if you're interested in more information about whether your state is involved, Essie, do you know if, I know some of our states are already involved. Do you know if, could you tell us if New Mexico is involved yet?
I do not think New Mexico is involved, but I'm cross-checking. New York is involved. And, you know, we have Helen's name down there. Should we be changing that to you, Jasmina?
I think Helen and I will both continue to be involved. She was just unable to make this conference call, so I came in her place, but I think we'll both be able to stay in touch.
Okay, that's great. I'm looking at who from the different states. Esther is definitely involved from Oregon.
Esther, what do you think?
Yep, definitely.
And
Definitely.
In Oklahoma?
Oklahoma is.
Great.
Yes on Oklahoma.
Okay. So the folks that are on the phone were about half and half, so that's...
Mississippi is involved as well, just so you know.
Okay.
But I do not have anyone from New Mexico.
Okay. So if you are interested in becoming involved in our efforts to reach out to voters with disabilities and have them fill out a survey about their experiences, we personally will send to all of the states who are involved in this project a survey link, and so you'll be sent an email with the link in it, and also a link for what we call the print, what can be printed version, so that if you have a meeting that's in a rural community, or it's hard for them to get a good internet service, you can bring printed copies to a meeting, and you'll have both of those links in your email. Plus, they will be available on the sabeusa.org website and on our Facebook page. And if you have not joined our Facebook page, it is Self-Advocates Becoming Empowered, and we'll be sharing it there, and many other places that you might start to see it pop up, because Julia, put up the press release, please.
Yeah, hold on. Barbara said that they would love to be involved, just to let them know.
Oh, great. So we'll help you guys get connected to Essie so that you can be involved. That's wonderful.
Great.
I know you have a lot of passionate self-advocates in New Mexico, so I think we could get a lot of surveys that way. Nancy, would you like to read this press release about the activity that we're doing this year with the states that are on the committee?
Sure. So, help us make voting better for people with disabilities. Self-advocacy and protection and advocacy organizations are partnering with communities to bring you the November 2016 Election Voters with Disabilities Experience Survey. The SABE Voter Project needs your help this voting election year. This is not your typical survey collection. This is a competition with other states to see who can get the most completed surveys to SABE by December 31st, 2016. The goal of the survey is to improve the voting process for everyone. We have many great laws like the Voting Rights Act of 1965 and the Help America Vote Act, HAVA, that says that you have the right to a private and independent vote. Is that happening? We want to know if state... Sorry, it starts, I'm having to read sideways. It starts when you arrive at your polling place. Cast your ballot. Exit the polling site. And everything in between. What if every state worked together to gather voter information in one place? We could send powerful messages to local, state, and federal voting officials from people with disabilities. This would be very cool. For the collection competition, the state self-advocacy team with the most completed surveys will be recognized by SABE, the National Self-Advocacy Organization. They will have an article written about their state team partnership with the PNA organization and the other community partners in the survey collection, partners in the SABE Nation newsletter, and share strategies of increasing participation in the survey collection used to at conferences throughout the year. This information would appear on the Go Voter page of the SABE USA website and be recognized in our voter project presentations. To participate in this contest, there must be a self-advocacy and a P&A organization working together. And then if you have any questions, contact Teresa or I.
Thank you, Nancy. You want to back to the slideshow, please, Juliana? I'll go ahead to the next slide. Just to wrap that up on the competition, if you have any questions at all, we'll be doing that in just a moment. So be thinking if you have any questions about that. Also, some of you have not turned in all of your paperwork, and that could be email glitches, or you thought somebody else did it, or whatever that might be. So here's a list of the different things that we need to have turned into us. The signed contract, completed voter project training in the community, so that needed to happen by everybody, which it did. State training report, and scanned and emailed completed evaluations. And then once you've wrapped up all of that, we have to get to the financial information. And I need a completed W-9 and by the self-advocacy organization or their fiscal agent, the person that money for them. The invoice needs to be, there needs to be an invoice on letterhead and the contact person who's able to receive the money and their address, just to make sure that there's no confusion about where things are at, because we've seen multiple addresses come in, and so I've had to ask a few questions to clarify where exactly the money can go. So just want to make sure that all of that gets turned in. Most things are in by most groups, but there have been, I know not everybody sees everybody, on a regular basis sometimes, and so that's, I think, where some of the snags are. But if you could have a quick phone call with the rest of the group to finish up the paperwork that needs to be done, so that I can complete all of the financial items to get you all the $500 for your self-advocacy group. And that would be great. Next slide, please. So here it is, your chance to ask us questions, and we'll try to do our best to answer them as completely as possible. So we have the answers. So go ahead and we want to check in with, we'll do the round robin just like we always did, and ask each group if they have any questions for us at this time. Nancy, you want to lead us in our questions and answers?
Sure. So, does New York have any questions at this time?
I can't think of anything right now.
Okay. Does Oregon have any questions at this time?
Do you have any questions?
Well, I didn't have a question so much as a comment. I wanted to comment on the candy thing, Karen, and I think we brought this up during the actual training, or during the training that we had, the training sessions that we had. Our self-advocates, they didn't like the candy thing because they felt like it was sort of, how would you describe it, Karen?
So what we did, instead of doing the candy, we were the candidate. Like I was the Democrat, somebody else was the Republican, somebody else was the senator, and stuff like that. So we did that, and it was more fun.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, so instead of voting for candy, everyone did a little stump speech kind of thing, and people voted on which candidate they would want to vote for. Kind of like I think there's a part in the training where there's candidates, and it talks about Cindy, you know, I can't remember what they're called, but we basically used that format, and we did that for voting instead of candy, because the self-advocates on our team, co-trainers, felt that it was somewhat demeaning or childlike to be voting on candy instead of voting on real issues.
Yeah.
So we chose
So we did it a different way.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be really great.
Yeah, it sounds like that's why we have different activities in there. Your group can choose where your audience is at and whether they just need to get comfortable with voting and to realize that they voted all of their life by making choices. And then the other one is, you know, that fun way of being Sally Socialite or Carrie Community or the Leo the Legislator. And it sounds like you put your own twist on it, which we love. That's what we like folks to do. Those are just examples of what people have done in different groups. So yeah, whatever works best for you, that's what we are happy to hear, is that there is activities that you can use, because no matter what we did when we were developing the training, people said we need it fun, we need it interactive, how can we involve people more instead of just being a lecture type. So we're glad that you guys found an activity that you could modify for your needs. That's great. Who's next, Nancy?
Barbara, would you like to go? Or write your questions so that if you have any, and we will get, that way you will have time to do this. We'll go ahead and go next.
She did actually comment, Nancy.
Okay, then let her go. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah, Barbara said New Mexico does not have any questions at this time. Just a comment, the candy ballot activity worked well for us.
Glad to hear that.
Okay, and for us, what we learned is we're gonna use the slides from now on, and we do not have any questions either.
Okay, great. I'm glad that it's a trial and error thing to see what works best for your team.
Yes.
And now that you figured that out, that's really helpful. Just to open it up for, let's see, is that everyone? I want to make sure. I think so. Just to clarify, go ahead to the next slide, Juliana. So I just want to wrap it up real quick. Thank you to everybody who has taken part in all the webinars. Let your teams know. We really appreciate it at the SABE Voter Project. It means a lot that you had a good team with you. I know not everyone could join us today, and we will gather their information and share it with you as we get it. And it is only successful if we have all of you, and we'll continue to work with you. Like I said, I'd love to hear on those reports, or if that's too much, you can send us an email with that information. That would be really helpful. And just thank you so much for being such a great group of states. We've learned a lot from what we've heard today, and we'll continue to improve the toolkit and the slides over time. We do add things and take things away and update them and put them on the website. So occasionally just check us out and see what we're up to. And we also occasionally get to add some more videos to our website. We've also found in other states some videos that we like that we put up on our website for you to look at that might help your group as they're doing their trainings. And personally, I'd like to say thank you. Nancy, would you like to say anything?
I just wanted to say, add to what Teresa has already said, that you guys were a great group to work with this year, and that we really enjoyed working with you, and you guys made us think, and that's what it's supposed to be about, and we hope that we made you guys think as well. So thank you for being a part of this year's team, this year's training. We appreciate it. And you guys take care, and know we'll be in contact with you throughout the upcoming months.
Thank you very much. And we look forward to hearing from you as you progress. Thanks a lot. Have a wonderful afternoon. Oh, we have a comment from Barbara. Did you want to read that, Juliana?
She said, thanks to you all for your assistance, and New Mexico is happy to be involved.
Wonderful. Thank you, Barbara. That's very nice. And we'll talk to you all soon. Take care.